If the high prices of today's top-end phones make you feel a little queasy, alternatives like the Honor View 10 and OnePlus 5T should have your attention. They cost half the price of an iPhone X, but still offer high-end features and a contemporary design. Phones like this are an excellent argument for why few, if any, of us really need to spend a huge amount on a new mobile, even if we are getting more demanding by the year. There's the odd Honor quirk, and the design isn't quite as glitzy as that of the smaller Honor 9 or its sister phones of sorts, the Huawei Mate 10. But it's hard to beat in terms of pure value among high-end mobiles. At its announcement there was a lot of talk about the Honor View 10's price. It hadn't been revealed properly, and the success of this model depends largely on how competitive its price is. The Honor View 10 costs £449 in the UK. That equates to around $600, 775 Australian dollars, although we may well see even more aggressive US pricing. As yet though, while the company has confirmed that the Honor View 10 will launch in the US, it hasn't said when or for how much, and there's no word on an Australian launch. Excellent features for the money include 128GB of storage, the advanced Kirin 970 chipset also seen in the Huawei Mate 10 and Mate 10 Pro, and a 20MP/16MP dual camera array on the back that offers low loss 2x zoom. The phone also follows the latest trend in displays with an ultra-narrow surround that makes the image appear to cover almost the entire front of the View 10. You miss out on very little of importance with this phone. Just like the Honor 9 before it, the Honor View 10 is impressive. The Honor View 10 looks similar to other late 2017/early 2018 phones front on. There's just a thin band of border around the display. Like its rivals, Honor has pushed for less wasted space. It's just about the only way to make a phone with a 6-inch screen that doesn't demand extra wide pockets. Honor hasn't tried to hide what small bits of surround exist, though. They're ultra-glossy blue in the model we reviewed, looking like the finish of last year's excellent Honor 9. While there's some attractive beveling to the side's edges, you can imagine this style might have been used to lower production costs. The Honor View 10 is extremely thin, however. At 7mm thick it's thinner than the iPhone X or Galaxy S8. It's so thin, you have to wonder, why? An extra 0.7 to 0.8mm of chunk wouldn't hurt the View 10's design much, and would allow for a larger battery and avoid the dual camera lenses sticking out on the back. As it is they look like a pair of Minion goggles. Like the Honor 9, the View 10 has a fingerprint scanner on the front, and it's a fantastic one. It's so fast you can barely believe it's actually scanning your digit, and it's a joy to use. Dig into the settings menu and you can also use the scanner to replace the on-screen home keys. We wouldn't recommend this to most, though, as the slim surround design leaves virtually no breathing room between the scanner and display. Look on Honor's website and you'll see it promises Face Unlock as a View 10 feature, but it's not here yet, rather it's promised as a software update. What we have for now is something rather more unusual. You can teach the phone your facial geometry and it'll blank out the notification details on your lock screen until it recognizes your face with the front camera. One of the few obvious hardware sacrifices of the View 10 is water resistance. The phone has no official water resistance, although we'd hope there's a degree of water protection in the charging port. It's worth noting though that the Huawei Mate 10, a similar but far more expensive phone, also lacks water resistance. There are also some ways in which we're glad the View 10 hasn't followed the trendy flagship crowd. There's a headphone jack where several of the most expensive phones have rejected them, for no obvious benefit, and despite the phone having a huge 128GB of storage you can still add a microSD card. The SIM tray has a slot for one. The Honor View 10 has a 5.99-inch IPS LCD screen, with a stretched-out Full HD resolution of 1080 by 2160. This display is similar to that of the OnePlus 5T, except that it uses an LCD panel rather than an OLED one. Camera. The Honor View 10 has more megapixels combined than virtually any other phone you can currently buy, 49 of the things in total. However, the camera is actually one of the areas where you can get perceptibly better performance from one of the more expensive alternatives. On the back of the View 10 sits a bug-eyed pair of camera lenses. One uses a 16MP color sensor, the other a 20MP black and white sensor. FYI, and Honor have used a similar setup before, the higher resolution 20MP camera being used to let you zoom at 2x and see more detail than you would from simply cropping into the standard 16MP image. Before we get too deep into image quality, one of the main takeaways of the View 10 camera is that it's a lot of fun to use. There's virtually zero shutter lag, focusing is reasonably fast most of the time, and you can shoot away using the auto mode and get, mostly, great shots all day long. While there's no explicit auto HDR mode, it's clear the phone makes significant dynamic range enhancements with every shot taken. Honor talks up the use of AI in the camera, but aside from sharpening text using the 2x zoom, this boils down primarily to fast scene mode selection, nothing too exciting. Pervasive, image-ruining blown highlights are a rarity, and as long as you choose your subject correctly, your photos shouldn't look too dim. Aside from having to be a little careful about macro-level focusing, using the View 10 camera is a pretty carefree experience. Flick left to right in the camera app and you open up a chest of extras. Some are classics, like Panorama, Pro Mode and HDR. However, others are inspired by popular apps like Prisma and Snapcat. Artist Mode features ultra-stylized filters that make your shots look like paintings. Our lens lets you put various cartoon ears and eyes on yourself in real time, or make yourself part of strange Japan-inspired animations that are either social network gold or the stuff of nightmares, depending on your inclinations. Back to the meat of the Honor View 10 camera, image quality is generally very good. The software does a good job of juggling different lighting conditions and scenes, letting you be pretty careless about how you shoot. However, it does trade an image impact rather than outright realism at times. Exposure metering is in some circumstances higher than it should be, and greens are generally rendered too bright. You also don't get the additional detail you might expect from a higher megapixel sensor. There's lots of detail, but right down at pixel level sharpness isn't as good as that of a top quality 12MP camera. There is a significant difference in the quality of the 2x and 1x photos, with some extra fine detail and much better rendering of small text when using the zoom. The zoomed images also have less jazzed up color and worse noise handling than the standard images. Dynamic range optimization also ramps down, meaning if you're shooting a sunset and need zoom, you may be better off using the HDR mode and using the pinch gesture digital zoom rather than the separate 2x zoom button. At night we've coaxed mixed results from the Honor View 10. The rear camera does not have whiz, which stabilizes the sensor to both let the camera use slower shutter speeds and make blurry handheld shots less of an issue. Shooting handheld at night with some street lighting to help, our hit rate on sharp shots was only about 30%. The quality of resulting images varies wildly, ranging from some of the more detailed shots you'll find from a non-stabilized phone camera to pure mush. Take 4 or 5 shots for every scene you shoot at night and you might get a hit. For video, the View 10 shoots at up to 4K resolution with the rear camera, and up to 1080p with the front. 60 fps 1080p footage with the main camera is also an option.